Did we just become best friends?
Hey, David Jones. Thanks for the sub, man. That's super nice. Oh no, my coffee camera's upside down. Hold on one sec. Oh. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, Cyberlanka. Hello, Tarfik. Tarfik. I think I said your name right. I'm sorry if I butcher your name ever. It's never my intention. All right, we're back and we're officially moving on. We are on to the next one in boot.dev. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Good morning, Kale. Thank you for being a member. Appreciate it. Enough C this week? It is enough C this week. At least we've accomplished what we set out to accomplish, and now it's time to move on, because the real goal is to become an archmage. That's the real goal. So we're at level 67. So we've got what is that? 33 more levels to go. So now we get to return to a familiar language, and that is Go. So this should be fun. Nice, nice. Finally fixed your jellyfin. I like it. I like it. I've always wanted to do something like a media. Excuse me. I've always wanted to do something like a media server, but I don't have any media. You know, it's like the fun part would be setting up the media server. The unfun part would be populating the media server. You can rip your CDs, you just can't share them. Man, I have this many CDs. I have this many CDs, which is kind of crazy because I grew up in a time where that was how you listened to music, you know. But I was never a CD kid. I got my first iPod. I got my first iPod when I was like 11 or 12. It was like right when I started going to the gym regularly. It was the very first one. It was like the very first electronic that I saved up and bought myself. I was like 11 or 12. When did this come out? iPod Shuffle first gen. My wife, when I met my wife, I was 15, she was 17. When I met my wife, she had a pretty big collection of CDs. Where those have all gone, I have no idea. It was introduced in 2005. Wow, 2005. My dad had ripped a bunch of CDs though. We had a pretty big iTunes library at home. Let's see, I would have been, yeah, I'd have been 12. So 2005 would have been 12 years old. That's crazy, man. My kid is almost 12 years old. Shit goes by too fast. There's Linux ISOs around. What are Linux ISOs? What do you mean Linux ISOs? Like ISOs that have media? But yeah, I would love to have a media server like that. It's just the work of populating it, getting all the media and. Oh, it's a joke for selling the 7Cs. Okay, that went over my head. That went over my head. I don't know. I'm super risk adverse, so any idea of doing anything that could potentially land me in trouble with the law, see, I get super nervous about it. All right, here we go. Welcome, or let's start our potion. Activate potion. Let's also set a timer, so I remember to restart the potion. Let's see. This needs to become 60. It may land my VPN provider in trouble. I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. You know, I mean, I've seen some people's media libraries online. It's really impressive. I mean, I do kind of kick myself because, like I said, my wife had a pretty big CD collection. We had a pretty big DVD collection. Like now, thinking back, we got rid of a lot of that stuff because we just thought that was, that was a world that was no longer relevant, And now I think, gosh, man, if I had known then kind of what I know now about self-hosting, God, I probably could have ripped myself a lot of content. Probably ditched some streaming services by now. My dad had like 10 terabytes of old movies. Oh man, that's painful. Oh, that's painful. All right, I'm probably just gonna go straight to the assignment for this course because I feel um pretty comfortable with Go. Set the username variable to the value Eddie Cabot, then submit the code. Sad variable declaration. Happy variable. No, goated variable declaration. The walrus operator. Oh, is that what people call this? I don't think I knew that's what people referred to this as. The walrus operator declares a new variable, assigns a value to it, one line. Yes, we love the walrus operator. Hey, what's up, average person? Yo, Steven, any way you could review my small Python project Git repo? Sure. Yeah, if you don't mind dropping your link in the projects channel of my Discord, I'd be happy to take a peek at it. I don't typically do anything like that on stream just because then it kind of gets out of hand because then I feel bad that I'm not reviewing everybody's project that they asked me to look at, you know, and then I don't get anything done while I'm streaming. But I'm always happy to take a peek at someone else's code. Not even to necessarily criticize it. I just like to see how other people write code and approach problems. You know, I feel like there's always something I can take away from reading somebody else's stuff. That does look like a walrus. I always laugh because I feel like Go is like one character away from a penis emoji. You know what I mean? I was like throw an arrow on the end of it, or a greater than sign on the end of it. There's some phallicness to it. Message start should be happy birthday. You are now let's see, create an age. You are now 21. And message years old. Oh man. We go from a language that has no semicolons to a language with semicolons to a language with no semicolons. God, they're really putting us through the ringer. I think there might already be a space there. Can't tell. Yeah. Oh. How did I get that wrong? Happy birthday. You are now 21 years old. This should be capitalized. There we go. Oh, the other thing I was going to do for this course that I feel like I should have done for C Because I find it super helpful to have my own little local playground environment when I get stuck. Let me set that up real quick. I hate when I just don't read and lose armor, dude. It's the worst, especially on like stupid little, you know, knick-knacky, not stuff that's actually challenging. Let's see. Let's remove boot.dev playground. Boot-fl. I always skip not somehow. Yeah. Did I see you watch my Kent Beck interview? I did. It was great. Thank you very much for that recommendation. It was good. Also, Meta's ultra toxic. Yeah, I personally find the story. Sometimes I find the story of people, the people behind a lot of the ideas and technologies and stuff. I find the biographies of people like very fascinating. I love it. I think that's why I love those cult repo documentaries so much, is because they tell the stories of all the people behind all these projects that I admire and enjoy and get to use every day. And I think my favorite part about that whole interview was the part that you talked about yesterday too, basically where he essentially burned out and sort of like retired from being a software engineer for like a decade. And I had no idea that he went back and he had worked at Meta. He worked at Meta for quite a while, and he did it because he needed money to pay for his kids' tuitions. And I had no idea about all that. So those and the things that people believe and say around and think around programming and coding. And to find out that he literally took like a decade away from his field and still today is relevant is I think it's just a testament to the fact that the stuff you think that matters and the stuff that you think is so important right now, it's just really not. Like, this the whole idea of FOMO is just completely contrived in our heads, and we should really be focused on just getting better, right? And enjoying our work and enjoying getting better at our skills, building lives that we love and enjoy, that bring us peace and not a lot of stress. Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was very good perspective. Perspective setting. Hello, Danny. Good morning. Nice to see you. Yeah, and a divorce. Yeah, all of these things that, like, I'm sure TDD didn't matter much when he was dealing with all that. I wonder if they made him go through the standard tech hiring process. I wouldn't imagine that guy going through a DP problem in 30 minutes. I mean, he seems like he's a very, very good programmer, So I doubt if they did put him through the hiring process that it was much of a difficult thing for him anyways, I liked his AI take. I constantly say no one knows how to use AI properly. Him agreeing was validating. Yeah, everything he said about AI was very validating. But I think that's because he has, like, he said I mean, just hearing like when he got into programming and hearing about like when he started programming, like silicon was barely a thing. You know what I mean? So he has such a long-term perspective on all this stuff, right? That's like it's very good we need to hear more people like that, right? We need to hear more from people like Kent Beck, like Eric Gamma, Bjorn Storstrup, the guy that invented or created C++. Like, we need to hear more from these guys that are 40, 50, 60 years into this, right? And just they're very tempered, right? They understand that things change, things move fast. What matters today doesn't matter in 5 or 10 years. What you think you have figured out today, you realize you don't have it in a decade. There's too much of the tech community that's being animated by tech Twitter instead of being animated by people like that, by veterans like that. We could stand to have more of those people in our media diet, right? Media consumption. Danny, I'm sure you will surf your way easily through the course here. I hope so. I feel comfortable with Go, and I like it. I haven't written a ton of it in the last 6 weeks, but I'm hoping it comes back to me pretty quickly. The Xerox and Chrysler were such industry forming companies as well, so it makes sense he was involved in those. Yeah, whenever he went after Xerox, which FYI invented the personal computer before the PC was popularized. It was wild, right? To have somebody who he's really been there for all of it, been there, done that, and seen it. I think the best piece of advice I took away from his whole I think from his whole interview was there's a piece in the interview where he talks about how he knew he was ready to move on from that first company he worked at as a programmer. And I thought that was a very just the way he described it about, when you're growing or changing or evolving maybe faster than your company can reward you for. And when you start to realize that like how you see yourself differs from maybe how the company or how your peers see you, and once that delta grows to a certain value, right? Once that difference in perspective gets to a certain place, it kind of becomes a mandatory you need to move on type of situation. And I thought that was just such a good piece of self-awareness and perspective, because I think a lot of us find especially if you're kind of an ambitious or aspirational person, is you can find yourself in positions where you really have put in a lot of work and you really have grown your skill set a lot, but you're just kind of frustrated all the time because you feel like you're not getting recognized, or you're not getting the opportunities, or you're not. And I think to some extent that's actually our own fault, because we should have probably at some point taken inventory and recognized the signal from the noise and said, you know what, I've kind of outgrown this, or I've outgrown this place, and I have grown apart, right? We've diverged so much that it's time for me to move on to whatever the next thing is, instead of trying to make the current thing conform to who I am, right? I thought that was a really wise like piece of advice. It rang really true for me personally. All right, let's add a thunk main. And we want to import, what is print line in? Also, where's all my Go stuff? Why is it not working? It's almost like my theme isn't loaded or something. Yeah. Huh, that was weird. Expected package? Oh. Package main. Expected indent found import. Oh, it's just being slow. Okay, now we have a nice little playground where we can, if we need to get out of the browser, we can. I kind of find the browser a little stifling, if that makes any sense. Whenever I get stuck, I kind of feel like I need to be able to do my own things outside the browser. Okay, so critical bug. Text.io users reported that we're building them for wildly inaccurate amounts. They're supposed to be billed $0.02 for each text message sent without changing any of the other lines. Fix the math bug in the total cost calculation. Okay, so we are doing... Doris spent 72.02 on text messages today. Num messages. Okay, so we have a float here. I think this can be fixed by doing a little bit of that. No. What's the bug here? Mismatched types. We have float 64 and int. Okay, so why is float plus a float resulting in concatenation? This one has me stumped. This one has me stumped. Oh, it's not concatenation, it's addition. I'm such an idiot. That was way easier than what I was making it. I was like, is there something wrong with the type system? What the? That was way easier. Go. Okay, let's lock in here. Let's wake up. Let's go. Get the lead out. I see that's not the way to go. Go back and you'll see where we are going on because we've already seen the past. I'm not as good at puns as you are. Let's see. Go has 2 style comments. The new intern on the team screwed up their documentation comment. Fix the issue. Let's see. We need to add that there. We've seen what you got. Goat. We've seen what you goat. Okay, Go program structure. We'll go over all this in later in more detail, but to sate your curiosity, package main lets Go compiler know that we want this code to compile and run as a standalone program, as opposed to being a library that's imported by other programs. Import format imports the format package. It allows you to use format println. Function main defines the main function. Generally 2 kinds of errors. Assignment, run the code, knows the compilation error, it's due to invalid syntax. Fix the compilation error. Yeah, I think I'm gonna probably speed run this. So if you guys want me to slow down or you want me to do anything different, let me know, but I'm probably gonna speed run this. Go code generally runs faster than interpreted languages and compiles faster than other compiled languages. I'm gonna say faster. Go programs don't run quite as fast as it's... Okay, so it generally runs slower, but compiles faster. What? So faster and faster. No. Go as fast as you can. What's the size represents that how many bits in memory will be used to store the variable. The default int and uint types refer to their respective 32 or 64-bit sizes, depending on the environment of the user. The standard types that should be used unless you have a specific performance need: int, uint, float 64, complex 28. Converting between types. Some types can be easily converted, like this, casting a float to an integer, and this way truncates the floating point portion. On line 7, create an account age int variable and assign it to the value account age float, truncated to an integer. Account age int, here, cast, account age float, run. When should you elect to not use a default type? When performance and memory are primary concern. What does the size of a type indicate? Bits. Text.io uses basic authentication to log users in. The code on the right has a type error. Change the assignment statement on line 7 to use a string value for password instead of an integer. But don't use a different password so that it can be concatenated with the user's variable. Yesterday, I recon old game I was playing called Soldat, and I wondered in what language it was written. It was Delphi. And man, Pascal Delphi, those reels. So I don't know anything about Pascal or Pascal Delphi, all other than Anders Halsberg was involved in those in some way, shape, or form. That's all I know about it. Angel script. I've never heard of that either. And what the hell is it? Yeah, there's so many programming language. It blows my mind because I learn about another one, it seems like every month, that I've never heard of before. AngelScript is scripty C++, and it's even used in modern games and Unreal Engine. I know nothing about the games industry, you know? Nothing at all. Oh, yeah. Question, generally speaking, which language uses the most memory? I guess Java? Just going based off the information they've provided. What's one of the purposes of the Go runtime? To style Go code, make it easier to read, to scare off JavaScript developers, to clean up unused memory, to compile Go code. Not knowing VSync was the tell. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I've definitely heard of VSync, right? But like I don't know what that looks like applied to code. You know what I mean? I love playing video games. But I know absolutely nothing about making them or building them. Complete the code to remove the bug and create the constant basic plan name. I've been thinking about maybe streaming games. I think it might be fun to stream some games in the evening a couple times a week. I think that'd be fun. Kind of had the itch lately to do that. Let's see. Yeah, neither do I. I don't know how to build VSync other than it would cat frames dynamically. Yeah, I have no idea what VSync does for me as a user, and I have no idea how to build it. I just know it's a thing. You know what I mean? You know those words that you hear people say, and you're like, oh yeah, I've heard someone talk about that. Yeah. Golang Part 2, basically. Good to see you, Just Terminal. Basically, we're gonna speed run this a little bit because yeah, we're definitely revisiting, right, a bunch of information from what was it, like fall of last year. So we're gonna get a bunch of free XP. Rizzing Java devs. I feel like Java devs get a really unfair amount of shit. You know what I mean? I feel like people just love to beat the hell out of Java and people who love Java. You know? Someone out there is going to be like, well, it's deserved. Let's see. Complete the code using a computed constant to print the number of seconds in an hour. So we're going to do 60, or we're going to do seconds in minutes times seconds in hour. Undefined set minutes in hour, sorry. Minutes an hour. They worked for that. Remember who Riz.net devs? I mean, I just think people like to dunk. People just like to dunk on .NET and Java because they are kind of legacy. They're not. They don't have a cool kid shine to them. You know what I mean? And in general, I think people just like to dunk on other people, which I've never really understood myself. But let's see, vertical sync is just a fancy name for locking games hertz to monitor output hertz. Ah, well, that's a nice feature. I've never had really nice gaming stuff. I've always just gamed on an Xbox, and I've always just used whatever monitor I had at the time. You know, I've never really had like a real fancy gaming setup. VSync looks like wait. Okay, now send frame. Just waiting for the monitor to enter the slight pause after each frame is drawn to push the buffer. Interesting. I'm guessing it's really complex. I'm guessing it's pretty complex in implementation, but conceptually I can understand that. VSync. Comparing Go's speed. Does Go generally execute faster than Rust? No. Let's see. Create a new variable called message on line 11. Use the appropriate formatting function to return a string that contains the following. Okay, let's go ahead and get the message. Let's see. Complete the count calls decorator. It should wrap any function count many times that wrapped function has been called. Still return the wrap function's normal result. No, thank you. I'm writing Go right now, not Python. Sprint F. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know what to do about the damn internet connection. I do apologize, and I totally understand if that bothers people to the point of just saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go do something else." I will not hold it against you at all. So the message should say, "Hi, something name. Your open rate is open rate." So we have percent new line. So we do name, open rate. And we want percent %s here, right? Float is percent %f, integer is percent %d, string is percent %s. V prints any default format. It can be used as a catch-all. So we want percent %d here and percent %s there. Oh, yep. Message is undefined. Hi, Saul Goodman. You're open. Okay, I've got an extra space there. We have a float here that should be f.1. Nope. Percent. There we go. I think that looks right. Hi Hi, Saul Goodman. My comma's in the wrong place. Your open rate is 30.5%. New line. Success. New project idea. OBS plugin to scream at you while your internet is dropping packets to Twitch. That's not a bad idea. It sounds kind of difficult, but that's not a bad idea. Run the code as is. Notice that the simple string boots has 5 bytes and 5 runes. Update the name constant to be bear emoji instead of word boots. Okay. Let's go ahead and copy that. Update the name. What were they trying to drive home there? There are 2 main takeaways. When you need to work with individual characters in a string, you should use the rune type. It breaks strings up into their individual characters. We can include a wide variety of Unicode characters in our strings. Okay, that's good to know. This code that prints server logs won't even compile. Fix the bugs. Unexpected name test at the end of statement. New line in string. Should be here. Text message, untyped string constant as int value in variable declaration. Declared and not used, confirm. So this should be confirmed. Success! OBS plugins are usually written in C++, but they provide the template on GitHub and has decent documentation. Oh, nice. Well, I don't use, the only bad thing about that is I don't use OBS to stream. I use application called Meld Studio is what I currently use. And I don't know C++, so I guess I guess if I was gonna write that plugin, I'd have to switch to OBS, and then I'd have to learn C++. Someone doesn't know about walruses. Pitiful. Fix bugs on line 6 to 7. How many gems do I have? And I have a lot of gems. I don't even know what to use them on. I guess I should buy these. I don't know. I don't really even need to buy Frozen Flames. I mean, I stream every day, so I don't know what to use my gems on. Someone doesn't know about walruses. Oh, we already did that one. See, edit the pennies per text declaration so that it's inferred by the compiler as a float 64. So we do float 64 or float or I can do float 64 with a cast. Is that what they want? See what is that what they wanted? Oh, nope. They wanted a decimal point. You've been asked to improve the logs to include information about individual users and their recent messages. Create a user log variable on line 15. It should contain this, where fname, lname, age, message rate, is subscribed, and message correspond to the variables above. Message rate should be rounded to the 10th place. Okay. User log equals format.sprintf. Let's just go ahead and pass the variables in the right order. So we have fname, lname, age, message, rate. We have is subscribed, and we have message. And then the formatted string is going to be %s, comma, age, %d, rate is going to be %1.f, right? .1f. Then we have is subscribed, which if you're not subscribed, click that subscribe button. See that smooth segue? So natural. Let's see, %s. Oh yes, %v. Message, %s. I don't know. What would you paint here? %s? I guess %s. %v. Let's see. Dylanar colon age 45. Rate is 0.5. Is subscribed. It wants to go to the tens place. So that's 2 decimals, right? That is not correct. Message, sometimes a hypocrite is nothing more than a man in the process of changing. Oh, okay. What did I screw up? I think I had this right, didn't I? Originally. Oh, no. Oh, no. Age 45. Rate is subscribed. Message. Ah, crap. It was scrolled. Sorry, I didn't see the freaking... Damn it! There we go. If statements in Go do not use parentheses around the condition, else if and else are supported as you might expect. Fix the bug on line 12. If message length is less than or equal to the max message length, the program should print message sent. Else, it should print message not sent. If message length is less than or equal to max message length, an if conditional can have an initial statement. The variables created in the initial statement are only defined within the scope of the if else block. Why would I use this? It has 2 valuable purposes. It's a bit shorter. This Go is interesting. Oh, really? What's interesting about it? The way they're teaching it is interesting? Let's see, instead of writing this, we can write this. Okay. Why would you use the initial section of an if statement? Which is valid Go syntax? This. I was reading about speed on the backend side. Ah! Okay, pro cost should be, so we want to do case pro return 20.0 and case enterprise should be return 50.0. PHP's faster? Really? That's crazy. I would not have guessed that. Yeah, I would not have guessed that at all. So using the given variables, write conditional statements to calculate and update the variables. Set final cost to the bulk message cost. Okay, so final cost equals bulk message cost. If the user is a premium user, apply the discount rate to the final cost. So if user, if is premium user, then we want to do discount rate 0.10. I don't even know if this is an operator. I question now. Every language I write, I question everything I know. So we would do times 90. If the user has enough money in their account balance, deduct the final cost from their account balance. So if account balance is greater than or equal to final cost, then we are going to say account balance minus final cost, format dot print line %s purchase success message return. Otherwise, we are going to say format dot print line %s insufficient fund message. %s purchase successful. Oh, print F. Oh, goodness. Okay, what did I mess up here? Oh, whoops. I should do final cost multiplied by discount rate. 1. Sorry, 1 minus discount rate. What have I done? Let's see, bulk set final cost equal to bulk message cost. If user is premium, apply the discount rate. If user has enough money in their account balance, print the purchase message. Print this. Is it the new line? I'm pretty sure I've written this correctly. Okay, now we print nothing? What? Yo, help me. I take that back. I saw old PHP versions versus Go. Go is faster. Yeah, I would have, intuitively, I would have picked Go. Yeah. Yeah, but when I use... Okay. Nothing looks off to me, man. Nothing looks off to me. Oh. Sorry. Sorry. That was a silly one. Oh my gosh, bro. It's early in the morning. See you, Gun Highs. Have a good day. Appreciate you hanging around the streams. We often will need to manipulate strings in your messaging app. For example, adding some personalization by a customer's name within a template. The concat function should take two strings and mash them together. Hello world equals hello world. Fix the function signature of concat to reflect its behavior. Fix the what? The function signature? Crap. Which side do the types go on? Right side? Multiple parameters. When multiple arguments are of the same type and are next to each other in the function signature, the type only needs to be declared after the last argument. Which of the following is the shortest and clearest way to write a valid function? Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. So first name string, last name string, age int. Oh no, probably this one, sorry. Yep, that one. Oh, we're talking about unit tests. I'm so proud. Complete the get monthly price function that accepts a tier as input and returns the monthly price for that tier in pennies. Excuse me, here are the pennies in dollars. Convert the prices from dollars to pennies. If the given tier doesn't match any of the above, return 0 penny. So this is where we'll do a switch. And we will switch on tier. We'll set a default of, I guess, 0. Oh yeah, that's how Go formats case statements. So we have basic. Premium, which is 150. We have enterprise, which is 500. I tell you what, that enterprise pricing, that'll break your bank account, won't it? Let's see, 3 failed. Expecting this actual 100. Oh. So I'll make a const int const pennies in dollar equals 100. And then I'll say syntax error. Expected this unexpected walrus. Oh, because we're declaring a constant. Success. Developers often wonder why the declaration syntax in Go is different from the traditional established in the C family of languages. Interestingly, this interestingly is a very sarcastic interestingly. Oh, time for a break. Actually, it's time to activate another potion. What are we talking about when we discuss declaration syntax? The style languages used to create new variables. Which languages declaration syntax reads like English from left to right? I guess Go. What is f? A function named f that takes an int. No, a function named f that takes a function as the argument and returns an int. A function f that takes a function and an int as an argument. A function f that takes a function and an int and returns a function. My phone ran out. Who knew old macOS Safari doesn't load comment section? Oh, that's lame. Also kind of surprising, but also kind of lame. I don't know. Safari as a browser is just one of those things that it's like, does Apple really care? You know what I mean? Should they really be building a browser? You know? Because it seems like they're always lagging. They're always lagging the other browsers in terms of API implementation and things that are supported. And I just wonder, like, maybe, and just hear me out, maybe don't build a browser if you don't really care about it, you know? Let's see, passing variables by value. Variables in Go are passed by value except for a few data types that we haven't covered yet. Fix the bug in the monthly bill increase and get bill for month functions. Looks like whoever wrote the functions didn't know that get bill for month functions bill parameter would be passed by value. It's not actually updating the last month bill and the this month bill variables as intended. So monthly bill increase isn't returning the right result. Change get bill month so it only takes 2 parameters and get rid of bill. Instead, simply return the total cost of the messages. Monthly bill should use the result of calling to calculate the increase between months. I think that sounds like a lovely idea. What is it that, how do you delete VIW? No. VDI? VID? How do you delete an entire word that you're inside of? Vim motions. Delete word cursor on. Back to the phone. See, in old Vi, B moves the cursor. Move after end of the word or delete after cursor. DIW. DIW. Where are we here? Come back. There we go. VDW? VDW? No, that doesn't seem to do it for me. DIW seems to do it for me. Just DW? DW. So that deletes the character, right? DW, or no, DW deletes the word. Or to the end of the word. So if you're at the beginning, you do DIW, it's all of it. But if I'm inside, then I have to do DIW. I find myself, I think, commonly with my cursor on something. How about deleting from delete inside word to beginning of next word. I'm trying to take an effort to take time to try to invest more in my Vimfoo. Let's see. Delete the character under the cursor. Delete the current line. There we go. DIW, delete inner word. Within word boundary. Change inner word. Delete around parentheses. Delete inner single quotes. Delete around a paragraph. Delete uppercase inner word. I guess there's not really a way to do it. This is a good cheat sheet, whoever put this together. Hey, Network Bib. Good to see you. I'm doing well. Trad coding. We are indeed trad coding. Hashtag trad coding. What is trad? Trad coding is just a funny way to say. Well, now because we have LLMs, we live in this weird world where you have to delineate between whether you're using AI to write code or you're not using AI to write code, which is kind of dumb. I think that's eventually going to go away. I think it's eventually just going to be a thing like where we're writing code again. I think eventually we're going to go back to a place where we're just writing code and nobody's asking about how much AI you're using or when you're using AI. It's just, that's just another tool, just like you have an editor, just like you have a shell. Eventually it's going to become that way. But right now we're in this place where we have two competing camps of ideas that represent, I think they represent less to do with AI and they represent more to do with philosophical and deeply held values around what it means to be an engineer and what it means to be a good engineer, and about caring about a craft, right? And because of that, now we've come up with these really funny words to describe the two things. We have trad coding and we have vibe coding. Vibe coding refers to people who like to use AI to generate code. Trad coding refers to people who still write code by putting their fingers on a keyboard and pressing keys down, essentially. And eventually those terms of art will go by the wayside. But for now, it's a thing. I stand by that though. I think it's a very funny thing because if you look at it from the superficial level, the trad coding versus vibe coding debate is framed around this AI opinion. But I think it's deeper than, I don't think it's really about opinions about AI. I think it's opinions about how you accomplish developing software and the level of care and attention that goes into it. I don't think it's so much about whether you're using AI or not using AI, or at least I don't think that's the real contention, right? I think it's a proxy. There's a deeper underlying values difference, or maybe it's even more people who care about the software versus people who just care about getting to the end result, right? Hey, what's up, Victor? Nice to see you, man. Did you see the product OpenAI release called Codex Micro? It is just a very expensive micropad for using multiple agents in Codex, so not even using a normal keyboard. I saw that. It's basically like a Stream Deck. Like I've seen people wire up their Stream Decks to their agent workflows, but it's basically that, right? A dedicated hardware product for being able to basically click accept recommended. Don't think that's necessary, you know? Don't think that's necessary at all. But you know, they're in they're in the world of business, right? Their whole job is to market and sell you things that you don't really need. to separate you from your hard-earned dollars. That is their job. Not enough return values. There we go. This should be years adults. I love that arrow sound effect. You ever want to live on the West Coast, like Silicon Valley and all? No. No, I have no desire to do that. No desire to do big tech, no desire to. The only place I have a desire to move to at the moment is the Pacific Northwest. So that's the only place that I look at pictures of it. I've never been, but I look at pictures of it and I see videos of it, and I think that looks like home. That feels like home to me. But yeah, right now, for now, we're in Kansas. My kids really like their school and they enjoy being here, so we'll stick around here until they finish probably high school, and then after that, you know, kind of all bets are off. We'll see what they end up doing with their jobs and their college careers and stuff. See where they land. I'd like to be close to them, regardless. You know, I think ideally what I would like to do is I would like to get my kids to do homeschool. And I would like our family to try living in different places for extended periods of time to try to find the place we all like the best, you know, because if you really think about it, or if I really think about it, the world is so big and I've seen very little of it, you know, even in my own country, even in the United States. I've probably been to less than half of all the states. Probably less than that, probably been to less than 2/3 of all the states. And so what I'd love to do is I'd love to like go to Maine and stay 3 months there and rent a house, stay 3 months, move to Oregon, stay 3 months, go to South Carolina, stay 3 months, go to Montana, stay 3 months. You know what I mean? Just to try places out for extended periods of time and see, like, do we like the weather? Do we like the community? Do we like the people? And then once we kind of find a place that feels like home, then put down like longer term roots. Unfortunately, though, when you have kids, you're sort of, if you don't homeschool your kids, you're sort of not trapped. Trapped's not the right word, but you're sort of locked, right, to wherever they go to school. You don't want to be moving them around a lot. I love this Pacific Northwest. I want to move there too. You know, the rainy day. Yeah, exactly. The rainy day, moody pictures. Yeah, that for sure speaks to me. Yep. 100%. I've been to California and I've been to New York. I've been to California several times. I've been to LA quite a bit. I used to work for a company that was headquartered in Ontario, California, which is kind of like a suburb or another town or city close to LA. LA is like the large metro hub there. So I've been there several times. Been to Hayward, California several times. Been to Hollywood. Been to the beach out there. New York, I didn't get to go. I only went once and I didn't get to go for very long. That's kind of my thing with traveling, is I'm not really a big, like, the idea of taking a week to go somewhere is kind of not super appealing to me. It takes so much effort and so much energy to get there. And then you only got like a handful of days that you're trying to rush around and do everything. And the idea of rushing is just not appealing to me. So I'm much more attracted to the idea of like slow travel. You know, you go someplace, you stay at least a couple weeks, if not more. which I mean, obviously that's kind of a luxury a lot of people don't have, and it's difficult to execute on from a logistical standpoint. But given that I work from home, it's much more feasible, right? So given that I work remotely, you know, if my kids weren't in school, it would be very easy to, as long as there's internet connection, I could go to places for, weeks on end and then come back home. Have you ever been to the Ozarks? You mean like in the Midwest? Is that what you mean? The Ozarks here? I'm guessing that's what you're referring to. Because if so, yes, very much so. I grew up in the Ozarks. That is where I grew up. If you've ever seen the Ozarks show, that's where I grew up. Yep, kind of right. I guess you would say where the town I grew up in, Joplin, Missouri. We're sort of right on the edge of what I think most people would define as kind of like the Ozark region. The town I grew up in is like right on the almost near the border of Missouri and Kansas. And so it kind of creeps just outside or right on the border of the Ozarks. But yeah, spent a lot of time at Loki the Ozarks, spent a lot of time playing sports all over Rolla, Jefferson City, Columbia. Went to Northwest Arkansas a lot. Went to Northeast Oklahoma a lot growing up. Those are my stomping grounds, for sure. It was a good place to grow up. I think I would like to move back there. I think I would like to have a home base maybe in Joplin, and like whenever I retire, get done working, or at least when work becomes somewhat optional. I think that's where I'd like to try to make a home base and maybe travel from there. The cost of living there is very affordable, so that'd be a nice place to have a home, that sort of thing. I'm trying to convince my son. I'm going to try to convince both my sons to go to college where I went to college, because they get a discount for being an alumni, and then both their grandparents still live there. So I feel like it would be a nice balance, like between affordable college, a college experience where they're sort of away from home per se, but yet they still have some level of familial support, right? They're not completely, in an unknown city all by themselves. But we'll see. We'll see if I can convince them. Let's see. How is life in a red state? Is there racism and all against immigrants or people of color? I mean, there's definitely racism no matter where you go. I mean, I think that's the thing. Not even just in the United States. I think that's across the world. Like I remember when I went to Honduras in middle school growing up. There's like a weird, I don't even know if you call it racism, but maybe nationalism. I don't know what you want to call it, but like, I think humans in general, just wherever you go in the world, you find, for whatever reason, people decide to hate or demonize another group of people. It's just a thing. But like growing up though, I'll say growing up, I don't remember like deep, dark, dystopian moments of racism like that. Like growing up, I had friends of all ethnicities and all colors, and it really wasn't like it wasn't something like we talked about. I'm sure though, from the other people's point of view, right? I'm a white guy, so like from my friends who were black or Mexican or Hispanic, like I'm sure they experienced it and lived it, right, more than I did. So I'm not gonna paint a broad brush though and say that just because the state's red, it's filled with racist. It's way more subtle than that. And from my experience, the vast majority of people are typically pretty kind. understanding people. I guess there is one racist experience that sticks out in my mind from when I was in high school. When I was in high school and played football, I had several friends I played football with who were black, and unfortunately, there was a donut shop uh, on Main Street that was pretty popular. It'd been there for a long time. It was family owned, but the owners were much older and of a different generation, and so they were outright racist. And so we would not, whenever we would go into the donut shop to get donuts during the summer, before, like, after early morning practices, um, my friends who were black would not come into the store to buy the donuts. Discrimination. Other than that, though, not so much. Do you like Indian food? Yeah, Indian food's good. I like naan bread a lot, and I'm down for just about any curry. My dad's sister, um, is Indian. So I had a uncle growing up, Uncle Papu, and his mom. We called her Nani Chandrika. They were both Indian and immigrated here. I think my Uncle Papu immigrated here when he was 18. He went to school at the University of Kansas and got a PhD there. That's where he met my aunt. And then his mom immigrated at some point. She was a doctor in India, and at some point she immigrated to the U.S. And why I brought that up was because whenever we would go and visit them, that was always something they would do for us, is that they would cook. They would cook like a very traditional Indian meal at least once while we were visiting them. They lived in Arizona, and it was always great. It was always great. It's just naan, bro. Don't call it naan bread, please. Naan is a flat bread. So it's like you're basically saying bread. That's so funny. Yeah. So yeah, I like naan. Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah. Is buttered chicken an Indian food? I like buttered chicken. Yeah, like chai tea. Chai. I'm drinking tea. And I'm eating bread. uh, Hey, what's up, Demon Crater? What stack do you use on your daily job? So for work, I work as a quality engineer, which basically just means I mostly do manual and automated testing for the product my company makes is like a web app, or it's a complex, like, business automation platform, but at the end of the day, right, it's the user facing portion of it's a web app. So I primarily author a lot of code in TypeScript at work and C Sharp. Those are the two main languages I would use at work. And of course, like, your regular old CSS, HTML, that kind of stuff, Razor markup. I have to be familiar with those technologies. And then outside of work, I think C Sharp's my favorite language outside of work. I've been writing a lot more Rust lately, so I think Rust is kind of slid up into like the third spot of my favorite languages. Yeah, that's currently how I feel. I always tell people, though, if you held a gun to my head and said you can only write one language for the rest of your life, I would probably pick TypeScript, though, because I like to build web related things. And so I feel like having a language that is somewhat native to the browser, right? Like it can be translated to a language that's native to the browser, but has good developer experience. That's probably why I would choose TypeScript. I I don't know if I would ever return them, though. Oh, naked returns. Yeah, okay, named returns I'm okay with. It's the naked returns that I don't like. Naked returns I think are confusing. Fix the bug in the code so that it returns the named values explicitly. We do years until adults, years until drinking, years until car rental. Go supports the ability to return early from a function. This is a powerful feature that can clean up code, especially when used as guard clauses. Which is true. Guard clauses provide a linear approach logic trees. Guard clauses are unreadable. Guard clauses are generally worse than nested if else. What is a guard clause? An early return from a function when a condition is not met. Go supports first class higher order functions, which are just fancy ways of saying functions as values. Functions are just another type like int, string, and bool. Complete the reformat function. It takes a message string and a formatter function as input. Apply the given formatter 3 times to the message. Add a prefix of text IO to the result. Return the final string. Okay. Let's do formatted equals string bar formatted string. And then we'll say for I, what is it, range? Forget how to write a loop. Okay. Yeah, we want to call it 3 times. So we will do formatted equals formatter message. Formatted. I'm guessing they want us to mutate it, right? Yeah, they want us to mutate the thing. Then we have to return format.sprintf. This is going to be text IO space %s formatted. Declare not used I. No new variables on the left side. Oh, so this can be omitted, right? There we go. See you, Victor. Have a nice day. Thanks for chatting, man. I appreciate it. It's always nice when people stop by the stream. For each call of print cost report, give it an anonymous function that returns the cost of a message as an integer. Here are the costs. Intro is 2 times the length. Okay, so we do return length of intro times 2 plus length of body times 3 plus length of outro times 4. Too many return values. That's a single return value, right? Print cost report. Complete the print report's functions. It takes as input a sequence of messages. It should call print for once for each message by making oh, sorry. So you're saying it should do print cost report for intro. An outro. And then what? Okay, once for each message by making 3 separate calls. For each call of print cost report, give it an anonymous function that returns the cost of an integer. Here are the integers. Oh, I see. Okay. I see what you want. So you want a function how do we declare an anonymous function in Go? Go lambda function. Is that even a thing? Ugh. Hey, what's up? What's up, Anurag? How are you? Good to see you. Oh, it literally shows me an example. So we need, this is just going to be like that. Params is going to be our message. Type string. Return int. And we are going to return message times 2. This is going to be the same thing here, the same thing here. Body. This is going to be outro. And then this is going to be what? 4 and 3. Oh, and length. Well, we should really extract this to not be an anonymous function, shouldn't we? Missing return. 17. What do we have to return? Use the built-in function to get the length of a string. Why do we need a return? Oh, because I accidentally added the type. Success. Level 68. Damn, I'm level 16. Yeah, but I've been going now for a couple months, you know what I mean? So you can't beat yourself up, right? We all go at our own pace. Complete the boot up function. Be sure to print the following text. Excuse me. Just before boot up function returns. Text IO boot up done. Don't touch below this line. Use defer so that you only have to write this message once instead of before each return. So we write defer. And we say, what do we say? Text IO boot up done. See, unlike Python, Go is not function scoped. It's block scoped. Variables declared inside a block are only accessible within that block and its nested block. There's also the package scope. We'll talk about packages later, but for now you can think of it as the outermost nearly global scope. It's a bit unusual, but occasionally you'll see a plain old explicit block. It exists for no other reason than to create a new scope. Run the code without changing anything. You should see a compilation error. Fix the scoping issue in the function so that it runs as you'd expect. Declared and not used. We just remove this, and I will do this too. Because I absolutely hate people who initialize variables on the same line. Fucking hate it, man. I think it's the dumbest fucking... I think it's the dumbest feature that programming languages have. And I don't know why anyone would ever do it. Hey, what's up, Mark? Nice to see you. Happy Sunday, man. I hope you're doing well. We're having a pretty low-key stream over here. We started a new course on boot.dev, and we're just slowly making our way through all the lessons. Place order. So the amount in stock and calc price functions can be used to look up the current stock and price of an item. If the quantity is greater than the amount in stock, the order should be rejected. So if the user doesn't have enough money in their account, the order should be rejected. Otherwise, the order should be accepted and you should return the new balance. So let's just do, I guess, amount in stock. Is that already defined somewhere? So amount in stock. Oh, is that that's a function name, isn't it? Yeah, it's a function name. So I guess I'll say amount or stock amount. And we'll say amount in stock, and we pass in the product ID, I believe. Yep. Sorry, big yawn. Hey, Mark, thanks for holding it down on Twitch for us, too. Appreciate you, man. I'm not here last night. Got a life to live. I get it, dude. I get it. I never expect anybody to be able to show up to every stream. Even if you just come to say hello for a minute, I mean, to me that's plenty, right? So if you can make it, great. If no worries. If no worries. If not, no worries. I understand, man. The internet is fun. Digital life is fun, but it is not real life. So I'm glad that you have a life to live. Thinker free. Hey, can you talk about the job market? I can answer any questions you have or give my opinion on any questions I have. I don't really have much experience with the job market in the last, I guess, year. I guess the last time I went through a job hunt was, that would have been, what was that? So the last job hunt I went on was from February 2025 to June of 2025. I did about 20 interviews, and it ended up working out really well for me. I ended up not leaving the company I am at now, but I ended up getting offers, and those offers I ended up being able to negotiate a higher salary and ended up staying where I am currently at. So I don't know if that experience from a year ago is still relevant today, but I'm always happy to share if you have any questions on how kind of I think about things and how I approach things. Yeah, I'm pretty much an open book on that kind of stuff. Okay, so then we need the calculated price. Or I guess that we can actually do if quantity is greater than stock amount. We can actually just return false. And honestly,
Mark Mananzala is telling you to drink some coffee.
Thank you, Mark. I actually need to go put some water on because we're down to like the last few sips here. Yeah, man, I'm planning to be out for now. I'm tired. Have a great day. See you. See you, man. Appreciate you stopping by. I wish you the same. I like the coffee emojis. I don't know what we should return here. I guess I'm just going to return 0. Or I'm just going to return the account balance. Let's see, price. Going to be calculate price. We're going to pass in the product ID and the quantity. So we have price and we have stock. And then we'll say altered balance equals account balance minus altered, or equals minus price. Walrus operator. So then what we'll do, if user doesn't have enough money in their account, the order should be rejected. So if account balance is less than the price, meaning they don't have enough money, return false. And I'll just return the account balance as it is. Otherwise, we return true and return their altered balance. And I don't think I need the parentheses, do I? There we go. Let's see it. Closure. Closure is a function that references variables from outside its own function body. The function may access and assign to the reference variables. Create an enclosed sum value inside the adder function. Return a function from adder that adds its input to the sum and returns the new value of sum. In other words, it keeps a running total of the sum variable within a closure. So this would be return function and we'll have a total. We'll initialize that to 0. If I could type. And I don't think we really need anything here. Other than that. And all you're going to do is return total. This would be num. Think that'll work. Hey, we learning Go. Let's go. Yes, we are learning Go, Captain Lucha. Or Lucho, sorry. I put an A on the end. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. This is a lot of review for me because I've written quite a bit of Go over the last year. So I'm just kind of speed running this course as fast as I possibly can. It's quite a long course though. There's 145. I think it's the second longest next to data structures and algorithms. So this will probably take a day or so. I'm not going to do that right now. Noise. Yes, noise indeed. Noise. The text.io API needs a very robust error logging system so we can see when strings are going awry in the backend system. We need a function that can create a logger, a function that prints to the console given a specific formatter. Complete the getLogger function. It should take as input a formatter function and return a new function. The new logger function takes as input 2 strings and passes them to the formatter, then prints the result. Keep the order of the strings. So just reading this type declaration, what are we saying here? We're saying formatter, right, is itself a function that returns a function. I want to see how it's used. Formatter, pass in our formatter, get back our logger, then we call logger with the 2 strings. And how do we want to So format equals formatter takes S1, S2. Then it does print line, I guess. It says it prints them. So I guess format like that. Or formatted. Let's see, redeclared in this block, other declaration of S1, undefined S2. Oh. Yeah, this function right here, this type of I'm always on the lookout for things that like this right here is would be scary, right? To new people learning to code. It's like what are you what? You know, this is probably hard if you're newer, right? Newer to programming, newer to functional programming maybe in general. It's a little confusing what's happening there. I see we are learning Go now. We have. With Gaffa, we have moved on to Go. Yep. Or at least that's the course. So just for like a recap of what I'm doing on stream right now is I'm trying to make it to level 100 on boot.dev. So like it's less at this point, it's more about reaching a level 100 than it is necessarily about picking up new languages. Go is not a new language to me, so I'm just kind of speed running through the lessons trying to earn XP at the moment. That's the goal right now. The next course I think I'm most excited about right now in my path is where we talk about where is it? Pub sub architecture. So I've built things like with pub sub architecture before, but I've never taken a formalized course around it. I've taken courses on RabbitMQ before, but I think this will be a fun thing to go through. Docker will be good too. I've never taken a formal course on Docker. I've always just learned Docker through using Docker. So I'm looking forward to that one. That's a great goal. I just want my coin, man. I want my. Have you guys seen the? It's like they send you your. It's like in Harry Potter where they send you your letter. You know, it's like the inverse of that. After once you get done with boot.dev and you reach 100, they send you a letter and a coin to anoint you an archmage, which I think is cool. The collector in me wants it. So this is going to be a phone number and a message. Phone number and this is going to be a string. No, an int. And this is going to be a string. So this is message. Let's see, text.io is a bug. We've been sending texts that are missing critical bits of information. Before we send text messages in text.io, we must check to make sure that the required fields have non-zero values. Notice that the user struct is a nested struct within the message to send struct. Both sender and recipient are user struct types. Complete the can send message function. It should return true only if the sender and recipient fields are each contain a name and a number. If any of the default zero values are present, return false. Key. So I guess what are the default zero values? Empty string 00 false. Okay. So if if message to send dot sender dot name equals this guy, or message to send dot sender dot number equals 0, return false. Do the same thing here, and we'll just change this to recipient. And let it run. Undefined type message to send has no method sender. What do you mean? What do you mean? Yes, it does. It has a sender. Message to send dot sender. What do you mean it doesn't have? What the hell? Why does it think I'm trying to call it like a method? Oh, because I'm referring to the type and not the variable. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. That timer was to tell me to reactivate my another potion. There we go. There we go. All right, I'm going to go put some water on real quick. We must admit humans suck. What? Marcelo, good to see you, Marcelo. Bro, read the code. Why? So I have a couple reasons why. One is less to do with. Okay, so I basically have two categories of reasons why. The first category has to do with just understanding the limitations of models right now. This category of reasons could potentially someday become, I will admit, obsolete, right? Maybe models just do continue to get better and better and better to the point that these aren't issues anymore. But right now, agents do make mistakes. They do sometimes lack context, no matter how well you prompt them and how much context you try to give them. Their context management window is a sliding window. They lose context as it gets longer, and the context a lot of times gets compacted or summarized in a lot of these agent harnesses we work with to generate code. So I still think there's a place to just trust but verify is kind of where we are with models at the moment. And then the other category of reasons is I think that reading code makes you a better engineer. And I think AI is ultimately a force multiplier for good engineers. If you're somebody who's not a good engineer, if you've never built software by yourself and actually had to make design choices and make decisions about things, it's going to be very hard for you to be able to instruct an agent to do what you want. It's going to be very hard to know whether or not the agent is doing what it should be doing, right? So, and reading code is a great way to level yourself up. It's about giving your opportunities to grow your own capabilities. So those are kind of the buckets of reasons. The first bucket may not be around forever, but the second one I think will. You know, if you're somebody who's early in your career, just starting out, I would encourage people to not give up opportunities to look at code and read code, whether it be your code or somebody else's code. Hey, what's up, Thunder Deer? How am I doing today? I'm doing well. I'm actually going to put some I'm actually going to put some coffee on is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be doing even better here in a few minutes. We just finished our coffee. Greeting Archmage. I'm not an Archmage yet. I'm currently a... What am I? I'm currently a Sorcerer is my current level. I am Sorcerer Steven. Which I wonder where they're... Do they have like a leveling or rank list where they show all the ranks? Boot.dev. Ranks. You're my Archmage? I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Huh. I wish they'd show... I wish they'd kind of show like a... a progression graph or a progression chart that shows all the different... I guess not. Oh, here we go. So apprentice, pupil, acolyte, disciple, scholar, sorcerer, sage. Ooh, I like that one. That's a good one. Arch sage, mage, and archmage. So this is where we're trying to go to, is archmage. I did find another cool Teodan's testing and architectural knowledge will / have become more important than code generation. I think testing, in my opinion, testing should have always been an important thing. Architectural knowledge, I think, has always been important. Testing should have always been important, but a lot of people just poo-pooed it because they didn't like to write tests. Yes, but I think Teodan's, I think my contention with that statement is I don't know how you acquire or get good at architectural knowledge and really own that understanding or get good at understanding testing or writing code that's testable. I don't know how you gain that understanding or that knowledge without actually doing the work. I just don't buy what the AI people are selling. I don't think it's possible to spend all day talking to an LLM and actually acquire real knowledge and abilities. I think you're acquiring knowledge and abilities. I think the LLM makes you think you're learning, but I don't think you really are. I think the LLM is like the next version of tutorial hell, where the LLM makes you feel like you know what you're talking about, but if we were to take that away from you, you really don't own the knowledge. And in my opinion, you really should own the knowledge. You should really know these things yourself. Doesn't mean you can't use AI. It just means you need to make time to actually experience building things and tripping over your own architectural decisions and writing problematic code and understanding why it's problematic. Like, all those things I think are important. I don't know how you divorce getting better at building software from actually building software. I know the AI companies want to sell people that is a thing, but I just don't buy it based on my own experience. It's like saying that you can separate the act of being a good writer from actually writing. I don't believe that. I just don't believe that's a thing that can actually be done. Archmage has not been reached. We are currently a sorcerer. Testing is treated as an afterthought. Oh, 100% testing is treated as an afterthought. I work as a quality engineer. I'll tell you from firsthand experience, testing is an afterthought, and it's always a mistake. It's always a mistake. I know people say like, oh, when you're starting out and you have a startup and you're trying to pay the bills and you're trying to find, product market fit, yada, yada, yada. You don't want to have testing slowing you down, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. It's always a mistake. It always results in technical debt. It always becomes a drag on your ability to make changes and ship software. No one's ever going to convince me of it otherwise. I think a lot of people like to intellectualize testing so that they can avoid doing it. is my personal belief. I think a lot of people are just lazy and they hide behind sounding smart to avoid doing the work. Almost like we were living on a prayer. I like the reference, D. Oblivion been lurking for a while, but yes, the number of times I've also seen companies use beta branches for free QA, and it's never as functional as professional QA testers. Yeah, you should have both. You should automate as much of your testing as humanly possible, but yeah, somebody should still be doing some level of exploratory manual testing for sure. Even mature companies will pressure testing scope and investment and wonder what's going on. Exactly. Yeah, it's just the lack of forethought, you know, in that domain. It still shocks me, especially as somebody who came to technology later in life. It shocks me that an industry that's been around for so long still is so immature with the way they approach quality. Coming from a manufacturing background, I just kind of, a lot of the problems that exist in the way software is produced and the way software is produced, it's just a lot of it's solved problems, right? Like you look at the manufacturing industry, like this is solved stuff. Like you guys, I mean, people think building software is complicated. like there's lots of other probably way more complicated physical feats of engineering where the level of tolerance for poor quality is we've addressed it, right? Like we have systems and approaches to addressing it. But for whatever reason, technology has refused to adopt or to embrace them. Even like with AI models right now, it's funny to watch people deal with AI models because it's really the first time I've seen technologists have to reason about how to QA probabilistic systems. But again, in other fields, probability is an inherent thing, always has been an inherent thing, and that's been largely solved through statistical process control. So I don't know. I just find myself shaking my head a lot. I did 10 years of manufacturing before becoming full stack 6 years ago. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, you probably have a very similar experience. I mean, I'm not going to say other industries don't have their problems, but like there's a lot of learning and education that technology companies or software companies could take from other industries and apply to their processes. For whatever reason, they just don't. Goth, do you get paid 300K? No, I do not get paid 300K, but if you can find me somebody who will pay me 300K, please send them my way. I would love to talk to them. With AI QA is out the window now. It's turned into prompt, ship, get feedback, prompt. Yep. And that, again, it's like, it's one of those things where, like, I don't know, it's your life, it's your life, it's your business, it's your company, right? Everyone's allowed to live their life the way they want and build their business the way they want. I just have particular opinions about it, Like if it was my company and I was putting my name on the thing, I have a particular standard that I would want to hold myself to. But obviously other people make different decisions. Money comes from customers who speak to business people who make the decisions. No one in that chain understands software quality. Yeah. There's no, but almost everybody in that chain is just talking to each other in buzzwords. They're all talking to each other in keywords and buzzwords. Yeah. Look at GitHub. GitHub should not be a mess. It really should not be a mess. It should not be a mess, but like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's like, you can sit there and rail against it, but what are you going to do? Like, It's again, I just go back to the thing that it's doing is a lot of times it leads them to thinking that their thing is a unique thing and their thing isn't really a unique thing, and their challenges are actually solved problems, and they just need to look for answers beyond maybe their own little world or their own domain. Like maybe you need to look at how other people approach these similar types of issues outside of software and then figure out how to translate them back into software. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of like unicornism I see in software development, which is kind of interesting. It makes more sense to invest more in QA. In my opinion, you're getting more code, but it's lower quality. So logically, you up the testing. Yeah, you. I mean, I just feel like if you're not testing the thing you're building, you're making it someone else's problem, which I think is kind of shitty. Certain platforms and tools should be reliable by principle and not by venture capitalism. I'm not gonna say I disagree. I don't know what to do to influence other people. You know. Bob Lagourde. I have shipped a testing version 16 June, and the LCient wakes up on 17 July telling me that they forgot this feature and the app is not usable. Deadline is in 1 week. Come on, client. That does not sound like fun. I feel for you. I feel for you. I wish there was something I could do to help you. I think that's largely why building software for other people is kind of a painful experience, you know? Okay, coffee time. I'm just gonna go put on my water. I'll be right back. Oh, I did that thing again. Let's build it. Let's build what? Let's build what? What is a good reason to use an anonymous struct? You're worried about user privacy? No, you need your code to be faster. It's only being used once. What's one advantage of being an anonymous struct? Embedded struct. That forgotten feature? Oh. Yeah. I think the painful part in that situation is the time constraint, right? Which I guess what Bob is trying to say is that's why testing gets, or that's why quality or testing in general gets thrown by the wayside. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I used to see this when I worked as a food scientist. I saw this a lot because I worked cross-functionally. I was in research and development, but I worked cross-functionally with. I was based at a manufacturing plant, 2 manufacturing plants, and so my job was basically to see a product from conceptualization to commercialization, which means basically work with a client or customer. Think like U.S. Foods or Cisco, these large, mostly food service companies. We worked with a few CPG brands. You know, I mean, we really make products for just about anybody, but mostly food service and CPG type customers. And I saw this a lot because I had to balance kind of I had to balance a lot of people's competing priorities. Operations cares about operations thing. They care about efficiencies. They care about pounds per line hour, cost. Had to balance the marketing people's desires for profitability, and you know, one of the things that just has to happen in a project is you sort of just have to be a champion for what you believe in. And so, you know, I understand we're all a lot of us are employees, so this only goes so far, but somebody has to be the person that says, "Look, I'm not going to ship a feature that I haven't tested." Somebody has to say that out loud. Someone has to say it's irresponsible and it's reckless to ship something we do not have confidence in, right? And granted, if the CEO comes down from on high and overrules you and says, "Well, Steven, you're wrong. We are going to ship something that we have not tested and we do not have confidence in." Well, that's a completely different scenario that people have taken it out of your hands. But I think all too many times, I think people are afraid to stand up and say that or push back. Right? They're just scared to do it. But somebody has to be that person that cares enough to force the hand to say, "Guys, are we really going to do this? Are we really going to build a feature under duress with no testing, with no quality assurance, right? With no verification, and ship that out," right? Like, we should all acknowledge that out loud. I think a lot of times we just kind of sweep it under the rug. Well, we'll do our best, right? We're going to do the best we can. Yeah. I mean, yeah, QA is so much important, but you need to have client time, which is the hardest thing. Well, and that's, I guess, Bob, that's my point, is like, someone has to hold the line. I guess if you're a freelancer, if it's your business, that's up to you to make that call. And who am I to judge you? Like, you have to make a living. You got to do what you got to do. But if it was me, if it was my business, I would just be like, "Look, I cannot build a feature for you in 1 week and do what I need to do to ship it and feel confident in it," right? And I would just put that on the client then, right? If the client says, "Sure, we're fine with potentially receiving work that doesn't actually work because you haven't had the time to verify it," okay, sign on the dotted line that you accept the risk of that. But if it was me, I'd push back really hard on it. Again, if your boss overrides you, your boss overrides you. But yeah, I guess at my age, I'm past the point. I'm past the point of sitting in meetings and keeping my mouth shut and putting my head down. And you know what I mean? I'm going to say what I think, and I'm going to offer my opinion. It doesn't mean people have to agree with it or necessarily go along with it. But I'm definitely not going to sit there and hold my tongue and make people think that I agree, right, with things I don't agree with. I've always been that way, even as a consultant. If something is bad, I say it is bad and leave the decision to the customer. Yeah, and that's what should happen. That's 100% what should happen. I worked with a lot of salespeople when I was in that food scientist role. I worked with a lot of salespeople who really didn't like that, right? They really wanted to be able to tell the customer everything they wanted to hear. And I found personally, because I eventually got to this point where I didn't want to talk to the client or the customer through a salesperson. I would just become the point of contact, and I would just show up in meetings, and I would just manage the client relationship. And I found that, like, customers and clients tend to really respect you when you're super upfront and you're super honest, and you speak in a principled way. I found that it was usually a positive response, like, "Oh, you're right. We didn't think about that," right? Things like that they would say. I personally think it would endear you. And if it doesn't, I think Oblivion's kind of has a good response to that. Is maybe then you should be thinking about whether those are the people you should be working with or for, right? If they are people who don't believe in doing things the right way. It's like maybe this is not a good partnership. More coffee. Good morning, Justin. Hope you're doing well. Having yourself a nice Saturday. No, Sunday, sorry. I'm happy to be wrong, but there needs to be a conversation. Yes. Actually, I'm happy even to be just overruled. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily know if I don't even know if I can hear an argument that would convince me that I was wrong to care about quality and things working properly, but yeah, there should definitely be a conversation. I think far too few people just initiate the conversation. They just, okay, the boss man said, so we've got to do our best. Like, okay, well, boss man's going to hear my opinion first, then I'll do what he says. You've been on PTO? Nice. What have you been doing? Anything fun? Good morning, David Bailey. Nice to see you. Things are well here. Yeah, it's summertime. It's hot. Other than the weather, things are great. It was like 90 something degrees yesterday, and the humidity felt like it was 70%. It was like a swimming pool outside. It's terrible. Other than that, life's good. Kids are healthy. Wife's healthy. Making progress on boot.dev. I'm almost to level 100. I think I'm level 68 right now. Been building a Atari app in my free time. Been working on a terminal chat app in my free time. Work is pretty even keel. It's like, business as usual at work. Kids are growing up way too fast. I'm excited for football season to start. I'll do it, but damn, will they hear me complain first? Yeah, exactly. And it's not even complaining. I don't want to frame it as complaining, because that complaining is what paints you as like the negative Nelly. And it's not even being a negative Nelly. It's just, I want people to acknowledge what they're saying. I want people to acknowledge that they don't give a shit about things working the way they should, and taking making the effort to verify that things work and that they work well. I want you to say it out loud. I want to hear those dirty words come out of your mouth. I am not freelance, Bob. No, I work at a W-2 job. So that's why I say I can't. Who am I to judge you, right? So, I mean, my opinions are n equals 1. I'm just a random dude in Kansas, right? Who's streaming on the internet. 33-year-old dad of 2 living in Kansas who's just trying to sing for his supper and get to retirement. So, I have my opinions, but I understand everyone's circumstances and life, demands, and everyone's got a nut to make and whatnot. So I'm a realist as well. Life be good. Life be good. Life is good. I took the kids and wife to an amusement park. That's cool. A zoo called Cull Margarine. I've never heard of that. It was a lot of fun. Now we were just chilling. Dude, chilling's the best. I've taken so I took a week off in June, I took a week off in July, and I took a week off in August, with really no plans, just other than just to turn slack off and just be at the house, be around, do whatever comes to mind, enjoy the summer. But I think those are the best. Honestly, I think that's the best PTO you can take. There's no agenda, no plans. I don't. So there is soccer. Definitely have soccer in Kansas, but I haven't been following the World Cup, and I've never been a big soccer guy myself. I like American football. I like baseball. I like basketball. Those are probably the only real sports I follow on a regular basis. Even basketball is kind of iffy. I follow that more towards the playoff season. There's a level of compliance that is worse because the boss is not getting flack for the project you ship that didn't get the QA you requested. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times you just end up becoming the scapegoat. But at least I'll know I said something. Coffee has been acquired. Now we may continue with our boot.deving. I found another game to play too. Another programming game to play. I don't know if anybody here has heard of it, but I'll give it a shout out because I hadn't heard of it. It's called Artifacts. And it's basically an MMO RPG that you play through API requests. How cool is that? MMO RPG. I think this might be something I work into streams at some point. But is that not like the coolest thing? Yeah. Yeah, that's what when I heard that Captain Lucho, I said, "What?" But yeah, you basically make API requests against their servers to do things within the game. So I think this would be a lot of fun to play, and you can use whatever client, whatever language, right? Whatever client language you want to use. So I think this would be really fun to explore. Another potential thing to do on stream. Once we got to get through boot.dev first, but then artifacts might make an appearance on stream at some point. POV, the front end is the back end. Yeah, yeah, right. Isn't that funny? I just thought that was such a I thought that was such a clever idea, regardless of if it's actually, you know, a successful business or a successful game. I was like, what a creative idea. But yeah, I think that's a product that could definitely find product market fit with a very niche group of, you know, passionate customers. A sender is a user that has a rate limit field that tells us how many messages they are allowed to send. Fix the bug by embedding the proper struct in the other. Let's see, run the test. S.name undefined, S.number undefined. So we can do user like that. Submit. Oh, also we can activate another potion. Yeah, I'd go for another hour. Let's see, struct methods and go. The format of the string should be basic username password. So this is where we declare font. A is authentication info. And we're going to call this basic, get basic auth, get basic auth. And we need a type. Return is going to be string. We are going to return a string that's formatted as basic authorization. The format of the string should be authorization, basic, and then username, password. So %s. This would be a dot username and a dot password. Oh, not spring F. Sprint F. Oh, goodness. Sprint F. Oh, in Go, struct sit in memory in a contiguous block with fields placed one after another as defined in the struct. For example, this struct looks like this in memory. Okay. Field ordering matters. The order of fields in a struct can have a big impact on memory usage. This is the same struct as above, but poorly designed. Okay, I probably designed a lot of poorly designed structs then. It looks like this in memory. Stat struct, 6 bytes total. So reach, wasted, okay. Notice that Go has aligned the fields, meaning that it has added some padding to make for the size difference between the uint16 and uint8 types. It's done for execution speed, but it can lead to increased memory usage. Should I panic? To be honest, you should not stress about memory layout. However, if you have a specific reason to be concerned about memory usage, aligning the fields by size, largest to smallest, can help. You could also use the reflect package to debug the memory layout of the struct. Hey, what's up, Tyler? Good to see you. People can be so mean sometimes. Do you have any advice on how to not give a fuck about them? I don't know. I've changed. This has changed a lot. So I'm 33 now, right? So I think I've had several different opinions about this probably over the years about how to deal with haters. I think now I'm at this place. Actually, I talked to my wife about this yesterday. I'm at this place where I just don't care that much about anyone outside of my wife and my kids, you know? Like I care in the sense that like I want you to win. Like I want good things for you. I want you to be successful. I don't want you to get sick. I don't want you to die. I don't want you to get, you know what I mean? I don't have any animosity or ill will towards anybody, but I also just don't really care a whole lot. I don't care a whole lot about what you think. I don't care a whole lot about what you think about me. And so I think that ambivalence makes it very easy to just, people throw stuff at you. It's like, I don't care, man. I don't care. Unless you can somehow advance my path to financial independence, I don't care, dude. So I think at 33, my answer to that question, Tyler, is ambivalence. I think 5 years ago, the answer would have been to remember that a lot of times broken people break others and that hurt people hurt others. So, and that's just, it's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of them. You know, I think that would have been probably been my answer 5 years ago. 10 years ago, I probably would have it would have bothered me and I would get upset and try to return. I would have probably returned to the same emotional, whatever their emotional response to me, I probably would have returned that to them, thinking that somehow was getting even, or that somehow was standing up for myself, or I don't know. It was something, right? It was some sort of response that felt like I was taking ownership of the situation or not letting people walk all over me. But today I just kind of shrug, man. Life's long. Life is very, very long. None of us are getting out of here alive. So yeah, that's probably how I deal with it, Tyler. Actually, I have a clip to share with you. Let me try to find this clip because I really like the clip. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a couple seconds. I think I have it bookmarked on TikTok. And I listen to it every so often, and I think it's just a good reminder of what we're kind of talking about here. Liked, favorites. Have to scroll for a little bit. I have a lot of favorited things on TikTok. Come on. I know it's in here somewhere. There we go.
There are 7 billion.
Oh goodness. I hope I don't get looks like there's music. But let me turn this down just a little bit. I don't honestly know what this clip is from, but I just found this to be very, very, very good perspective and a good reminder. So Tyler, when someone's mean to you and they're a piece of shit or they do something bad to you, just remember this.
Billion people in the world. So when one of them behaves badly toward you, he's actually doing you a great favor because he's saving you time. He's telling you that he's not worth your while. He's freeing you to say thank you for the information and will now move on to the 6,999,999,999 other people, some of whom may have some value. There are 7 billion people.
That's what I would tell you to do, man. I don't know. I know that's much easier spoken than lived, But yeah, I think that's the mindset you should have, is when people are shitty and people are douchebags and people are assholes, I don't know, shrug your shoulders and move on to the next guy, right? Next. There's just life is long, and at the same time life is too short, right? To concern yourself with it. There's other people out there. There's people out there that will treat you nicely, treat you kindly, with grace and dignity. They're out there. Man, you're on point. I leave my work because of that. Yeah. Yeah. And you should. You should. Life is too short to be surrounded by shitty, awful people. Sometimes it's necessary to tolerate it for a time, but yeah, it's just the world is very, very big. It's very big. There's so many people, so many opportunities. Sometimes that's hard to see when you're in the moment. Everything feels so important and feels so meaningful, and all the people feel important, right? But now, having lived, I guess, 3 decades, now I've actually experienced firsthand, like, the truth of just, this too shall pass, right? Like, the stuff I cared about at 20 doesn't matter now. The stuff I cared about at 15 don't matter now. The stuff I cared about at 25 don't matter. You know, a lot of the things just don't matter. They just don't matter. Maybe the programmer job will be transitioning to agent wrangler. I don't know, man. That's what it feels like. It feels like that's the thing we're being sold by a lot of people. I mean, and what's crazy is, like, it seems like we're being sold that even by people who historically have been very level-headed, reasonable folks in the industry. It seems like they are even going that way. But I'm having a very hard time deciphering from who is saying these things not because they stand to gain economically in some way, right? Like Kinsey Dodds even, right? Kinsey Dodds is pivoting a lot of his content and a lot of his stuff towards agentic engineering and whatnot. And while I understand he might believe these things, he also stands to gain from it economically, right? There's a wave, and he runs an educational company. And so he's trying to keep his company and his content and his courses and everything he's built his business on relevant while riding this wave. So I'm just kind of taking all of it with a grain of salt. And I don't think anybody knows anything, right? Nobody can predict where any of this is going. So we should all just kind of hold on tight, save our money, invest our money, do the best we can, build lives we enjoy, see where we land in a decade. Real story. I once had a server in production that held a lot of structs in memory, like hundreds of thousands in a list. When I reordered the lists in the struct, the memory usage of the program dropped by over 2 gigabytes. It was a huge performance win. Our over-engineering boss is at it again. He's heard about memory layout, wants to squeeze every last byte out of our structs. Run the test to see the current size of the structs, then update the struct definition to minimize memory usage. Expecting 24 bytes, got 32. Hey, Codius, what's up? You having fun on boot.dev? Nice. Yes, we are. Yep, we finished our C project. Well, I shouldn't say it's finished. I still have a bunch of tests to write. I wrote like 5 or 6 tests yesterday, so I have a bunch of unit tests I got to go back and write, but for the most part, that project's done. I submitted it, and now we're going on to the course about learning Go. What are we coding now? Well, right now we're doing boot.dev stuff, but in my free time right now, I'm working on a terminal chat application for connecting to. Basically, it's a way to connect to your live stream chats. I'll probably offer it to the public too once I get it into a good, nice working state. It works, right? I mean, I can demo it for you. It works. It works now. But that's what I've been spending a lot of time on recently. Is building that. And then I've also been building a what do you call it? I've been building a desktop application or a little utility application for making copying and pasting better. And that's a Tory app. And when I say making copying and pasting better, basically all it does is when you copy text from somewhere, it will replace oddly formatted characters like em dashes or strange quotes to their normal kind of ASCII representation. But the thing that's even more valuable to me is when you copy links that have like tracking query parameters in them, like think of like the UTM query params, or on YouTube, the SI param, it will just automatically strip those things out. Because I find myself doing that a lot, where you basically, hi from the demo, where basically you want to share a link, but the link has a bunch of gobbledygooked it's basically tracking information. It's just a way for these companies to like understand who is sharing what with whom. And I don't want that in the link. So I just want it to be sanitized when I copy it. So I've been building that. But yeah, this is the other application I've been working on. This is the feature I added yesterday, and I'm very proud of this feature because I actually had to re-implement a component from the TUI library. Is I added the ability to do autocomplete with usernames, so you can actually type @ and if you tab, you'll see a list of completions for all the users, kind of how you would get in other like proper chat clients, and you can cycle through those, right? And it also matches, like if you've already typed part of their name, it will narrow it down for you. You can switch different targets, so you can send to both. You can send to Twitch, or you can send to just YouTube. You can send to both at the same time. And then if you don't want to have to like switch your targets, you know, if you don't want to have to switch who you're going to send to, then you can just prefix your message. So if you're in the both sending target, but you only want to respond to Mark, for example, I can say I only want to send to YouTube, and I can do /Y and say, hi, Mark. And that will only go to Mark. But if I was just in this message and was like, hi, chat, then the message would go to both places. So I've been spending way too much time on this over the last several months. But it's been a lot of fun to spend time on it. I also added persistent, so if you disconnect from the chat and you come back to the chat, it basically whatever information or whatever chat message you received while you were connected get reloaded, repopulated. That was kind of a difficult one to implement because of how many chat messages could potentially be in your chat history. I basically introduced a bug where, like, if you had thousands of messages persisted, whenever it would load, the UI would basically deadlock for a period of time. So I had to fix that. And I have to give a lot of credit though for this. The chat UI, like the UI components, like this scrolling effect here, like a lot of the base level components, I can't take credit for. They come from a library called Termina. Which is it's a C# library for building TUI applications, and it's AOT compatible. So I can't take credit for a lot of that, but the app itself is my creation. Non-vibe coded, I will say. It's been a ton of fun to build something and make it what you want. It stands for ahead of time compilation. So typically in .NET, a lot of applications you build are JITted, right? So they're compiled just in time is what JIT stands for. So ahead of time compilation means that you can actually build binaries that are self-contained and they're native. So they're typically much faster. They start up much quicker. They typically feel snappier, right? And historically, .NET has had kind of questionable pronouncing. C-JITted is hilarious, yeah. So and historically, .NET support for that has been kind of questionable. But they've done a lot of work over the last several releases of .NET to make it much better. But not a lot of libraries like that. That's why I was pointing out Termina, that Termina is AOT compatible, is that a lot of not all libraries are AOT compatible. So it was nice to find a library like that where I didn't have to because this would, if I had to re-implement like the UI, the TUI aspect of this, like I probably wouldn't have a functioning app to show you because I've never done anything like that, right? I'd probably still be trying to figure that out. So yeah, good stuff. Hey Rima, how are you? I make kernels, both Linux and custom, but I'm not official though. I do them for fun. Well, that's really impressive. I don't know where to start with working on kernels, but that's awesome. Yeah, so that's what I've been building, Mark. And I haven't been doing much of it on stream, mainly because it bothers the hell out of me when I'm trying to build something and people are like, "Yo, why don't you just use AI, bro?" But if you're doing a course or you're playing a game, people tend to not bother you too much about how you're building what you're building because they sort of like, "Oh, you're doing an educational course, right?" So people tend to leave you alone. Try the Linux from scratch book. Oh, okay. Thanks for the recommendation. I don't have much interest in OS's, operating systems, or like low-level stuff myself. But thank you for the recommendation. Just not really my cup of tea, you know? I've also been using so here's an example. Here's an example of a stream that has a ton of chat messages in it. This is a streamer that I like. Her name's Sweet Tales. And when you open up, this has like thousands of messages in it, but you can kind of see the UI doesn't block. That took me like a long time to figure out. I had to go read the Termina code to figure out how the event loop works so that I wasn't spamming it with, thousands of events. So I basically do it in batches so that the UI stays semi-responsive. And then I also added a loading, that little connecting indicator there. That took a long time to figure out, which is more of a reflection on my skills, not necessarily how hard the problem was. But I was proud of myself for sticking with it and not giving up on it. Marcus oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Codius, that's why I build offline bare metal AI on edge devices. I don't like my data being looked at. API calls to so many hook scripts that compile your data. Interesting. I guess I've never had that concern or that problem. Funnest software. This is really cool. I was looking into doing something like this using Qt, which is my area of expertise. Nice, you should. Do I handle emojis? So I don't. So I looked at, have you guys heard of have you guys heard of there's a Twitch client out there that's for the terminal. I think it's called I think it's called something like Twitch chat client. I forget what Twitch Tui, that's the name of it. So there's a streamer I follow on Twitch. His name's Dylan something or other. Dylan Mulroy. I think he works at Cloudflare. I found him through the Primogen universe of content creators. Let's see if I can find him. I think I saw him using this on stream one day, this Twitch Tui. And that's kind of what inspired me to like try to build something of it for myself. But I wanted unified chat. That was the big thing. I wanted unified chat, kind of like what I have in StreamerBot. And so StreamerBot was kind of the inspiration for the tabbed UI and, you know, the separate chats and stuff. And then Twitch Tui was kind of the inspiration for bringing it to the terminal. So this supports emojis. And when I went down the rabbit hole looking at how they do it, they basically only support it if it supports a particular protocol. I think it's like the Kitty protocol or something. But I think only Ghosty and the Kitty I think there's only like 2 terminals that actually support rendering these image-based emojis. So it doesn't handle those. Because I don't work in that kind of terminal, right? But I think if somebody wanted to implement it for those types of terminals, I think you could. You could probably use some of the code that's in this Twitch Tui library to do it, I'm assuming. But yeah, I kind of bailed on implementing it when I found out that in order to support them, or I bailed on trying to support it when I realized my terminal of choice doesn't support doing that, so I just stopped working on it. Long story short, do you handle emojis? No. But that's why. I did do my due diligence of why I don't handle them. It does handle normal Unicode emojis, which to me is enough. But yeah, this has been a ton of fun. Interesting. One of my drivers to do this is handling emojis. The current plugins are a pain to get configured correctly for integrated chats. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure how you would do it. I'm not sure how you would do it without relying on the terminal you're in supporting it. But if you ever figure it out, I would love to adopt it or adapt it. So that's that. That's Term Chat. Term Chat will eventually be publicly available. It is just not, it's not in a place where I'm proud of it enough to share it. It's probably, I don't know, 85% of the way there. And it took me like a week to get from 0 to like 75% done. It's taken me probably a couple months to push it along to the next 10% as these things go. You know, you get caught up on tricky things, or you want to add polish to this and that, you know. I'm sure somebody could vibe code it in a weekend, okay? I'm sure somebody could do that. But then they would miss out on all the fun I've had. Excuse me. Why does the empty anonymous struct have 2 pairs of braces? It doesn't. It's a syntax error. Struct is the type and is the value. Yep. Which is ordered from least to most memory usage? Uint 16. Okay, struct is 0, so it has to be one of these 2. Bool is just a single byte, right? Yeah, single byte. So this one. We need a way to differentiate between standard and premium users. When a new user is created, they need a membership type. Also, fun in software. I don't think I ever actually ever said hi to you, but hi. Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate that. Create a new struct called membership. Okay. It should have a type string field. Type string should have a message char limit, which is an integer. Update the user struct to embed a membership. Complete the new user function. It should return a new user with all the fields set as you would expect based on the inputs. If the user is a premium member, the message char limit should be 1,000. Otherwise, it should be 100. Okay. So let's return a user like this. And we'll say type is membership. Whoops. Type is membership type. Syntax error, undeclared in type declaration, non-declaration statement outside function body. What? Can I not do that? Oh, it's because I'm trying to do this like it's C#. Whoopsies. Okay. Oh, and this can't be. What? Okay, hold on. So I know message chart limit should be limit. Go doesn't have a ternary statement, does it? Okay. We'll just do var limit int. And then we'll say if membership type. Someone's in my backyard. It's my wife. So if membership type equals what? Yeah, premium? Else limit equals 100. Oh, actually that can be the default, right? And we'll just say if it's premium, we'll just set it to 1,000. Limit equals 100. It's our limit. So why can't I do this? What am I doing wrong? Can I not? What am I doing wrong here? Doing something wrong. Is it because I have a space? Unexpected in type declaration, line 17. Oh, sorry, line 8. Line 8. Oh, shit. I'm an idiot. Undefined membership. Unknown field in struct literal of type user. Field message in struct literal of type user. Undefined limit. User.type undefined. Undefined limit. Yes, limit is undefined. Field in type struct literal of type user. Unknown field. Oh, is this because I need to do like this? God, man, my Go is rusty, huh? User.message char limit. Message char, not chart. There we go. God dang, man. So then I can do this. That wasn't the issue. I can do this. Line 6. Thank you, Codius, for trying to point it out to me before I got to it. Create a send message method for the user struct. It should take a message string and message length int as inputs. If the message length is within the user's message char limit, return the original message and true, indicating the message can be sent. Otherwise, return an empty string and false. Okay. Let me see how the tests use this. These are our test cases. Run cases. Okay, and then how does those get used down here? Send message. Yeah, so this should be defined on. So we should say type user, not type, func, send message, and it should take a message string, and it should return bool. And we should say if length of message, message length. That's kind of confusing. You take the message and the message length. If the message length is within the user's message character limit, return the original message false. Wonder why you wouldn't just, yeah, I don't know. That seems weird to me. Why wouldn't you just derive the length of the message from the message? If the message length is within the user's message character limit, so if message length is greater than u dot membership dot message char character limits, then we have a problem, so we'll return false. Otherwise, we'll return true. And we can actually make this a little bit more succinct by just saying return that. Two variables returns one value. What are we supposed to return? Otherwise, return empty. Oh. Oopsies. So we do need this. Check. So this will be string. And this would be true, and this will be the original message. Too many return values? What? I thought it just told me I needed to return the original message and true, indicating the message can be sent. Otherwise, return an empty string and false. Oh, shit. I got to put a comma in there. Sorry. That's a silly one. Let's see. Invalid operation. Type.expect success does not equal pass. Mismatch type bool and string. Oh, these are flipped. Okay. So this should be message and true, and this should be empty string and false. So we should flip these. String bool. Passes. Man, I hear a lot of movement upstairs. My family must be awake. All right, we know about interfaces. The birthday message and sending report structs already have implementations of the get message method. The get message method returns a string, and any type that implements the method can be considered a message. Add the get message method signature as a requirement on the message interface. So we should have no params, and we should return string. So we're going to say get message returns string. And this is going to be complete the content of the message. The cost of the message was the length of the message multiplied by 3. So we return message equals, oh, whoops, that's not, I'm just going to call it R message dot get message, and then we'll return R and the length of R times 3. Success. Run the code. You should see an error indicating the contractor type does not fulfill the employee interface. Implement the missing get salary method for the contractor type so that it fulfills the employee interface. A contractor's salary is their hourly pay multiplied by how many hours they work per year. Yeah, so there's full-time implementations here. They've implemented get name, but they have not implemented get salary. So we should have func C contractor type has a get salary. Get salary returns an int. Return C dot hourly pay times C dot hours per year. Success. A type has all the required interfaces methods defined on it. Can a type fulfill multiple interfaces? Yes, why not? Interfaces quits. Go uses the interface keyword to show that a type implements an interface. There is no keyword in Go. Inherits, implements, fulfills. There is no keyword. It's implicit. It's implicit, right? In the example given, the shape type implements the interface. So we have a shape interface and the circle implements it. So shape, circle. No, circle, shape. Cool. Got 15 more minutes. I'm going to go for about 15 more minutes. I'm going to use the rest of my potion, and then I'll probably call it a day. It's been a good stream, guys. I appreciate everyone who stopped by and said hi and asked questions and had good conversation. Thank you very much. If the email is not subscribed, then the cost is 5 cents for each character in the body. If it is, then the cost is 2 cents per character. Return the total cost of the entire email in cents. Complete the format method. It should return a string in this format. If the email is not subscribed, change the second part to not subscribed. The single quotes are included in the string and content is the email's body. For example, okay. I actually think it is easier to understand if we put this stuff up here. So email, we'll say if e dot is subscribed is false, then the cost is 5 cents for each character in the body. So return length of e dot body times 5. If it is, then the cost is 2 cents per character. Return the total cost of the entire email in cents. Return length e dot body times 2. The format is going to be, it should return a string in this format. If the email is not subscribed, change the second. Okay. So we will do, let's call this status, right? And we're going to default it to not subscribed. And then we'll check if E is subscribed, like this. And I'm actually going to do the same thing up here. This makes a little bit more sense, I think, to the reader. That way we don't have to invert the polarity of that member. And we just say, if it's subscribed, return the lower cost. If it's not subscribed, return the higher cost. And then here we'll say if you are subscribed, then status becomes subscribe. And then we will return the final formatted string, which is going to be ft.sprintf. And we're going to need the contents of the body, type delimiter, and then %s is our status. So this is going to be e.body and status. And did we import ft? We have not. E.is subscribed, undefined. Yes, it's lowercase. Are you required to name the arguments of an interface in order for your code to compile correctly? No. Why would you name your interfaces? Readability and clarity. When working with interfaces in Go, every once in a while, you'll need access to the underlying type of an interface value. You can cast an interface to its underlying type using a type assertion. The example below shows how to safely access the radius field of S when it is not known that S is a circle. Oh, okay. This is our cast right here. Okay. So what we want to do, we want to check if S is a circle in order to cast it into its underlying concrete type. We know from a function signature that S is an instance of the shape interface, but we do not know if it's also a circle. C is a new circle struct cast from S. OK is true if S is indeed a circle, or false if S is not a circle. I like how they just linked out to the type assertion. They should really update this. They should update this markdown to clearly state that this is like the type assertion syntax, because they don't really state that. You kind of have to infer that from reading the snippet of code that like that's how you do it. But they really should state that very explicitly, in my opinion. Assuming you're a brand new person to Go, or you're reading, you're learning programming for the first time. Implement the get expense report function. If the expense is an email, return the email's to address and the cost of the email. If the expense is an SMS, return the SMS's to phone number and its cost. If the expense has any other underlying type, return an empty string and 0.0 for the cost. So we'll just take care of our default case first. Return 0.0. Otherwise, we need to do a type check. So we'll say, we have an expense. And how do we, so expense, email, SMS, do those both implement cost? Yes, they do. Email implements cost, SMS implements cost. So we will just say e.cost. And then we'll just check. So we'll say email, right? And then we'll say is email. And this will be equal to e.email. And we'll do the same thing for SMS. Is SMS e dot SMS. If is SMS, then we will return SMS dot, what was it? Return the emails to, oh, we have to return other things. So this is going to be an empty string. And then this is going to be empty SMS cost. Which I guess depending on how you wanted to do this, right? Like you could probably write this a couple different ways, but we'll just do two address and two phone number. So two phone number. I think this is a member. If is email, then return email dot to address and SMS dot or email dot cost, like that. Yeah, I don't know what the right way you'd approach. You could also do something like this, where you could say, you could actually just do e cost, right? And then you could also do like var. I don't even destination. You do dest equal that to an empty string. And then instead of returning here, I guess you could assign to destination. You could say destination equals email dot to address. And then this one would be destination equals SMS dot to phone number. I don't know. I kind of like return, like explicit returns, because when I'm reading code, I kind of feel like my eyeballs clearly see like, oh, here's a clear exit point from the function, right? Here's another clear exit. Here's another clear exit. But you could, if you didn't want, I guess, to do that, you could just fall through and then just return destination, right? Yeah, I guess there's a couple different ways you could write that. Let's see, submit. I kind of wonder what they did. So they did a return like I did initially. I think that makes sense. Type switches. Got 4 minutes. Can I complete this in 4 minutes to get my extra XP? Let's see if we can. If the expense is an email, return the email's to address and cost of the email. So email is email, that's going to be equal to e dot type cast to email. We can do SMS is SMS e dot SMS. Oh, they want me to use a switch. I missed that. So we'll do switch b equals e dot type. Case SMS case email default. Oh, come on. Success. Okay, I think that's where I'm gonna call it for the day. It's been a good solid stream, huh? How long we did? 3 hours? 3 hours and 45 minutes? Yeah, it's a solid stream. One of my favorite streamers who streams Call of Duty, he streamed for 13 hours yesterday. Can you believe that? 13 hours. People be fucking grinding, man. Okay, I'm halfway through, or roughly about halfway through. So hopefully we'll finish this either tomorrow or part of the next morning, and then we'll move on to learning HTTP clients. And then we'll get to build a Pokedex and a blog aggregator. We're making progress, man. All right. See you, Bolivian. Have a good day. Appreciate you hanging out. I don't know if anybody else is here. If you're here, I'll be happy to wish you goodbye. Otherwise, I will just generally wish everyone a very lovely Sunday, and hopefully you have a great start to the week. And I will see you, I guess, tomorrow morning. All right. Bye, guys. Bye. See you guys. Have a good day.